Baruch. Good morning, Moray v'Rabotai. Hayom shelosha ve'arba'im yom la'omer she'em shisha shavuot ve'yom echad. The mincha, by the way, is going to be 7 o'clock, and the early minyan 6 o'clock. Be'ezrat Hashem. The halacha tells us that if a person has a fire, we were discussing yesterday a fire, and there's a wind already blowing the fire, meaning to say that it's lit and it's the beginning of Shabbat and the door was open, and therefore the wind is coming in and really increasing the fire. I didn't do anything. That's what's the circumstance. The situation was like that. Now he wants to close the door, and he knows very well if he closes the door, what's going to happen is the wind is not going to be able to enter into the home, and then the fire is going to decrease. Because if there's no wind, it's not going to have the necessary oxygen, it's not going to be as strong. Is he allowed to close the door? The Shulchan Aruch writes that it is permissible for him to close the door. So why is it permissible to close the door? Because he is really creating a situation where he's blocking the wind, but he's not viewed as if he's decreasing the fire. These are two separate things. He is blocking the wind, but the fire itself is not viewed as being decreased from him. So this is called an indirect action. This is called an unintentional action, and therefore the Shulchan Aruch permits doing this on Shabbat. Interestingly. Now, there's a bit of a question. I'll leave you with the question. I'll tell you, let's see what you guys think. But there's two cases that seem to contradict this halacha. Case number one, Shulchan Aruch writes later on in the Simanim, he says if a person has an oven, they used to have pottery ovens, and inside they would put coals inside. Now he has coals inside and they were lit. It's not like they were cold. They were functioning and everything. And he wants to seal the oven on Shabbat. So the halakha is he's not allowed to do it, even though he's not intending to extinguish the coals, but he's essentially suffocating the coals, and that's asur to do. He's depriving him of the necessary oxygen, and it's viewed as if he is extinguishing. So how do we reconcile these two halachot? Plus, there's another halakha that says if you have a candle that has oil, and it's a base and it's a container, you're not allowed to take from the oil of the candle to use on Shabbat. This is the same reason, because you're extinguishing the candle. It would have been able to remain lit longer. Now it's not going to be able to remain lit. So when I remove the oil, that's viewed as extinguishing. So both of these cases we find are asur. Yet in the case of the wind, where a person is also closing the door, blocking the wind, the fire is definitely going to decrease. It's not a question. It's going to decrease. It has less oxygen. And yet we say over there that is perfectly allowed. And these two other cases is not allowed. That I'm leaving you with on Shabbat to figure out what you think the answer is. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen.